Well, welcome back again. I said the next thing coming up was going to be the finger joint story, and I've been out in the barn kind of getting ahead of myself here, and remember I had these already cut. Well, now I've got all three of them cut down. This one doesn't have any ends at all on it. They've been pre-drilled and counterbored for the tapered head screws. So, and I've got my piece of, I had some 1/4 inch scrap laying around, so I double laminated it, so I've got a 1/2 inch block by, what is this thing? It's about 43 inches long, I guess. Yeah, 43 and 1/4 for those from Missouri that want to see. So, and I've got a line here now. I'm going to cut on my band, so I've got it set up for 8.5 inches. So that'll give me plenty of room on the, and then I've got a, also put a baseline here. And that will be the eventual back of these pieces, because I want to be able to have a little bit of material sticking out along the edge here, in order that the router will round out when I do the cutouts for this. It doesn't really matter whether or not the 1/2 inch opening goes all the way up through this, as long as because the guide on the router itself is a little bit shorter than the height of these things, so having clearance down below it doesn't really matter all the way out, but it'll be close. So we'll see that when we get to it, when we cut it out. So I'm going to go ahead and run this through the bandsaw and get it down into shape, and then round up and sand down the edges. We'll come back. You don't need to see that. Well, I've got everything kind of set up here, and I've got to get me the wide angle adapter lens that goes in this camera, so it'd be a little easier to figure out how to set this thing up. These high definitions have kind of a limited field of view. Okay, I've got my board cleaned up. Got my finger plates all here. You can see they got all the countersinks in them. And I measured back, which a distance, it's, I don't know, about 3.5 inches. Excuse me, 2 3/4, which gives me enough depth for this to go back and to have a little bit of material here right on the nose to round over. It's not really important. It could probably stick out a little bit, but yeah, it's just the way I am. And so I got my straight edge. I know this is straight. Clamp down on the ends. And then the nice thing I like about my workbench with these every alternating space is loose, so I can move them around for clamping purposes and for this and other things. So now I've got it all set up. And the other thing I did too before I took off the other plate and cut the end off was I made an adapter, and I found it wasn't really needed. I found that 2 samples. These are clamp sticks, which will become clamps later on, and an AARP card were just the right width to for a tight fit. So I can use that or my gauge here when I come to tighten this other one up here. So, and I've also got my drill out with the little, I guess they call them a door hinge drill bit. When you push down on it, this little outside part pulls back. You can see it. And then the drill comes through. So that way I'll know that the holes are centered. So let me go ahead and reset up here so I'm out of the view. The plate clamped down, it's set back, it's pressed up against the guide here. So now I'll go ahead and this thing keeps them centered. got my little 12 volt Milwaukee here. I tell you, as you get older and your body starts telling you that, don't do that, don't do that. It hurts. You kind of find that some of these modern inventions are pretty nice. Oops, let me do my point. There we go. I haven't really driven screws with this thing to know how easy or light. And these are my hatch screws that I use on my ductwork hatches. Well, yeah, and they're 8 by 5/8, or number 8 by 5/8. So. Okay, those are nice and light. Okay, we moved over one section. I'll stick this in here. Push it back. Push it back. Way back. Okay. You'll see that that's about what it is here. And I don't know if I can, yeah, I can, except that's not a full finger. Let me move this over one. There. Okay. I'm happy. I'll leave that gauge in there. I used to work for a company years ago called Anderson Electric, and we built power panels for the Robbins tunnel boring machine company. And you worked quickly. I built some pretty good sized power panels. I worked a little bit on the one, the channel machine. Robbins had the center, the little 36-foot diameter tube. And a ginormous power panel. One more, or two more. Make certain these heads are down, don't catch the bottom of the router. I was checking each screw pretty good. I figure this is a lifetime tool, so you might as well do it right. So there we go. And it moves along. So, and it was made from one of these panels. So remember, it's not. You got to leave room for the glue. It's not a tight fit. I remember seeing somebody made a CNC made kit for a lightweight kayak, and he stressed, please do not test the joints without putting the epoxy on the first time, because you'll ruin them, because they were such tight tolerances. Okay, let me set up one more time here, and we'll go down to the end piece. Okay, we're gonna get our gauge out again here. I guess it could go in there. Okay. I got this. I got a kit actually. It's got the impact gun with it too, and at Homey's, and they were having a special one, and got an extra battery, a $50 battery for free. So, and it was $10 off for the kit at the same time too. So, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. And I've had good luck with Milwaukee products. I had one of those little skinny screwdrivers, and I used that building power panels to tap the backs for screws. Before I had that, I was using a regular T-handle, and I was always snapping the 1024s and the 1032s off in half. And once I got that little screwdriver, it wore out the taps. So we've got that all done, and we can pull this clamp and that clamp, gauge out of the way. So now all I got to do is take my router. I think I may put something in behind, just to a little bit wider. It feels like maybe a 1/4 inch, another strip 1/4 inch back here. Probably out to about the back of here would give my router plenty of support, so I won't have to worry about tipping. One last check I wanted to also try, seeing how this is the edge. That's the important one. Perfect. And so nice blocks there, spreading the weight out. So that'll keep, but not too much. You don't want to squeeze the epoxy out. You just want to settle it flat. If I had some longer armed clamps, that would be nice, but this works. So we'll come back after this is done, probably tomorrow or the day after, and then we'll route out the holes. And then got the back plate epoxied on, got it cleaned up. I had a little bit of epoxy blowout that I had to scrape off. And I take my template and move it up and down so that doesn't seem to be any. Now, pull that straight. That's just going to jam it in there. Everything seems to be fine. You just slide the fingers along so I know it's going to be uniform. Okay, got my router with my 1/4 inch up spiral on, and got it clamped down. This longer backboard back here is, you can see I got it clamped to my workbench with that extension part. So now I have a lot more room to work. I don't have to worry about trying to clamp that little metal plate down or that other short piece I had. Now I got a nice big work platform. So let me go ahead and start routing this out. Make sure you got your goggles and your mask on. Let me reset up here. We'll start out for a little bit to make some noise on the camera. So
I'm going to sit down to do this. It should be a lot easier. And there we go on.
There we go on the first pass. Let me go ahead and clean this up with switch bits. Because I'm making this as a tool, I can't, the 3/8 router that I had that normally I use with my guide to clean out up to the edge of the finger joints won't work because the carbide tips stop well below the upper edge. So I had to use just a regular old cheap, oh God, this thing must be 45 years old now, this bit and the router, to get up in here, and I had to set it just so it clears the guide bushing. I don't want to tear it up. And I'll probably have to do some sanding or get my Dremel out and do some final touch up along these edges that I can't get. And I got to be sure that I don't tip this thing, but with this nice flat surface, it's pretty easy to keep it from tipping. Whereas before I had to worry about it tipping and digging into the metal. So.
There.
I think my 40-some-year-old router bit is better than my new Freud I got. And it's just high carbon steel, and the other one's a carbide. So let me clean up and we'll come back for the final. Well, we're finished. Noise in the background is my Jet B1000 pulling the dust out of the air. That's a good investment. So I was going to get my Dremel out. I got it out, but I didn't have anything that would fit in the size, so I just took out my little carbide splatter rasp and cleaned up the sides, and then I had a little rat tail for the upper parts, and then I had an old foam brush that I can wrap some sandpaper around to get it clean. And the other thing I found the other day, for if you're trying to, for something to use these things for, is just pull off the foam and you've got a wooden peg to mount a tool on the wall for. So I'm going to drill a hole in my wall, one of my surface studs, and put that in and then hold this tool on top of it. So, well, I've got it all stained, sanded down, stained, front and back, still a little damp. I should leave it on the clamps to keep the sawdust out of it. Came out looking pretty good. I've got about, overall it's 43 inches. And then the working area on the finger joints, from outside to outside, it's 39.25 with these 3 finger joints. So, a 4-foot sheet of plywood is out to here, so I'm coming up short about 9 inches. And I don't know if I'd waste my time buying another, 2/3, 3/4 of another plate to make it 4 foot. Probably what I'm going to do is go down to onlinemetals.com. Online Metals is in Seattle, down in Ballard, and I'm going to probably go down there and get a hunk of get some UHMW. They have some other plastics. I need to go down there and look at some samples to see which ones would work the best. But I think I'm going to get I can get it in like 8-inch wide or 12-inch wide. I'll get another set of this. This is what, 8.5 for this thing. And then you saw me put that extra 2.5-inch piece in there. So that gives me a 5-inch, 5 inches from the back edge to the front of the plate. So most routers are not going to be that deep, so the tail end of the router plate will always have support on this, and so it's not going to be rocking around. So if you saw me when I had this on and I was doing the router around there, it was real even with the little bit just coming up almost to the metal. I was able to control it perfectly. It was almost like an upside down router table. So, but getting back to the other plastic, I'm going to get a large sheet. I think I can get probably what I'm going to need is probably 52 inches to make it the long enough, because on a 48-inch sheet, we offset the top half an inch, so that when you cut the one underneath, one side's a finger, the other side's a hole. So I'll at least 52 inches in order to make this plate. So then, long story short, once I get that piece of material, I'll set this on top of it and then use this to make the fingers for that new longer plate, which should be stiff enough. I gotta really check on seeing how stiff that stuff is once you get the fingers, so that the fingers aren't going to be bowing around. I may have to take some more 6 mil ply, just a little sheet of it, and put a small screw or well, I don't know if a pin nail would work. A short pin nail may, to keep it from flexing, moving around as you're working it. But we'll see. This, I may never do it. I mean, this is accurate enough. And then if I only have to shift this one time, the reason I was doing this longer one is to keep from having to, on these short plates, stop after you get, maybe a foot, and then change the bit, and then change the bit again to do the next foot, and then you got 2 to 3 changes, or well, on a 48-inch sheet you got probably going to have maybe 3 complete 4 changes, bits between the up spiral and the 3/8 inch straight side. Be nice if they made a 3/8 inch up spiral on a 1/4 inch shaft, but you can't get them. The only way you can get a 3/8 inch up spiral is with a 1/2 inch shaft, and that's not going to work because it's not going to fit inside the guide on the bearing guide for the router plate. So enough of this. We'll come back when I come back. I've got some carport I'm building right now, and then I got to re-roof the house and some other things. So this old duck drifter is, if I get some money ahead, I'll go ahead and get the plywood and start doing a little bit of it, just to keep you guys, give you something to feed your habit of Red Barn boats. So until the next time, I'll see you later. Bye.